I never quite fit in with them. That much was clear from the beginning. When I first met Helen and Gerald, my wife Megan's parents, they looked at me like I was an expired coupon. Helen had that tight smile, like she was trying not to smell something rotten, and Gerald didn't even pretend. The man barely looked up from his scotch to grunt a hello. I was wearing my best shirt, had shaved that morning, even practiced my handshake in the car. None of it mattered. I'm from Joliet. My dad was a machinist. My mom worked nights at the hospital. We weren't poor, but we were the kind of family that didn't waste food, turned off lights when we left the room, and fixed things with duct tape before we called a repairman. Megan's family was not that. Gerald had retired early from some nebulous executive position, and Helen did charity work, by which I mean she hosted wine-tasting luncheons to raise money for art museums that already had enough money. They lived in a house with crown molding, 2 dishwashers, and a fridge that told you the weather. I thought love could bridge that gap. Megan and I met in college. She was smart, driven, kind in this soft but determined way. She saw something in me, and I saw a whole life in her. We moved in together after graduation. I got a job in IT, she went into marketing, and we started building something real. When I proposed, I could already feel the chill from her family, but I figured time would thaw it. It didn't. At the wedding, Helen told one of Megan's aunts, loud enough for me to hear, that it was a shame Megan had to settle down so young, with someone so plain. Gerald gave a toast that mentioned Megan's childhood achievements, her college scholarships, and the pride they felt watching her grow, and didn't mention me once. Not a single word. I was the man she chose, and he acted like I wasn't even at the table. But I still tried. I smiled through holidays where they asked me if my little tech job paid enough to support Megan's lifestyle. I nodded when Helen suggested Megan married down in background, but maybe not in ambition. I bit my tongue when Gerald made jabs about working-class attitudes, while I unclogged the guest bathroom in their summer home. I paid for that plumber, by the way. They never noticed. And that's the thing. I wasn't just the guy who loved their daughter. I was the guy who helped pay off their credit cards when Gerald's investment in a friend's wine app went bust. I was the guy who co-signed the lease on their second property when they couldn't get approved. I was the guy who paid for Helen's dental work because their insurance was being difficult. I was the guy who kept the lights on, literally. They didn't say thank you. They said, "Oh, that's sweet of you." Sweet. Like I was a child bringing home a crayon drawing, not a grown man subsidizing their lifestyle because Megan asked me to. "Just for a little while," she said. "They're going through a rough patch," she said. "They'll pay us back eventually," she said. Eventually never came. But the mockery kept flowing. Helen once told me during Thanksgiving, "You should really consider going back to school. Maybe get a master's." Megan's always been the high achiever. Gerald told me in front of our friends that he hoped we'd have boys, so they'd get Megan's side of the brain. Even Megan started slipping into their tone. "You're just not used to how my family jokes," she said. But it didn't feel like joking. It felt like slow erosion. Then came the night everything snapped. It was a Saturday, late March. Megan and I had planned to go out to dinner, something we hadn't done in a while. She got dressed up. I wore the jacket she liked, the one that didn't fit quite right, but made her smile. We were halfway out the door when her phone rang. It was Helen. I could tell by Megan's voice that it was another emergency. "Their furnace went out," she said. "They need help covering the service call. Just for the night." I stood in the hallway, keys in hand, staring at her. This was supposed to be our night. One damn night. I didn't say anything. I just sat down, took out my phone, and transferred the money. Dinner was canceled. Again. We ate leftovers on the couch while she texted her mom about thermostats. I didn't sleep well that night. I kept thinking about how easily they reached into our lives, into my pocket, and pulled whatever they needed. And I let them. Every single time. I was funding the same people who looked down their noses at me like I was some handyman they tolerated. The next morning, I made coffee. Megan was asleep. I sat at the kitchen table, logged into our joint account, and started taking notes. In 4 years, I'd paid over $18,000 toward Helen and Gerald's rent, repairs, credit cards, medical bills, and unexpected expenses. 18 grand. I had receipts. I had dates. I had it all. And I snapped. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I just wrote an email. Calm, precise, unemotional. "Hi Helen and Gerald. I hope this finds you well. Going forward, I will no longer be providing financial support for your household expenses. This includes rent, repairs, credit card payments, and discretionary needs. I've supported your family generously and consistently over the past few years, and it's become clear that the gratitude and respect typically expected in such relationships have not been reciprocated. I understand this may be inconvenient. I wish you both the best in managing your finances independently. Sincerely, David. That was it. I CC'd Megan. When she woke up and read it, she stared at me in disbelief. You didn't talk to me first, she said, like I'd broken some sacred rule. I talked to you for years, I said. And you talked to them. She tried to spin it like I was overreacting, like I was being petty. But something in her eyes shifted when I showed her the numbers. When I showed her the spreadsheet. The email thread from Helen asking for just $500 more to get us through the month. The way they addressed me, never by name, just could you send? And then, silence. No response from Helen or Gerald for 3 days. Then the phone call started. First to Megan, then to me, then to Megan's phone when I didn't pick up. Helen left voicemails dripping with condescension. David, we're confused. We didn't realize you were keeping score. That's very unlike family. Gerald sent a text. If you couldn't handle helping, you should have just said so. No need for drama. Drama. That's what they called me finally drawing a line. Megan told me I was making things harder than they needed to be. I asked her, why is it only hard now that I'm saying no? She didn't have an answer. That weekend, I got a call from Gerald's old golf buddy. Apparently, Gerald had vented to him about my betrayal. The man on the phone said, look, I just think you should know they feel really hurt. Family helps each other. I laughed. Tell Gerald. I said, that family also respects each other. And I hung up. The following week, they tried another tactic. Megan received a package. Inside, a framed photo from our wedding day and a handwritten letter. Helen's handwriting. Dear Megan and David, we're sorry if our words have ever made you feel unappreciated. It was never our intention to hurt you. We just want the best for our daughter. We know you've done a lot for us, and we're grateful. Let's not let money come between family. With love, Helen and Gerald. No apology. No ownership. Just a passive acknowledgement wrapped in sentiment. Megan showed it to me with watery eyes. I think they mean it, she said. I didn't answer. I was too tired. Too tired of trying to explain to people who'd never truly seen me that respect isn't optional just because you're family. That love isn't built on handouts or humiliation. That I wasn't going to bankroll their lifestyle while they mocked mine. I started moving my money to a separate account the next day. After I moved the money, things started to change fast. Not just in my bank account, but in my marriage. Megan wasn't angry, exactly, but she was distant. Like she didn't know how to talk to me without defending her parents, or maybe she didn't want to. I'd come home from work and find her scrolling through Zillow listings for places closer to her folks. Or on the phone with Helen in that hushed tone she used when she didn't want me to hear. We stopped eating dinner together. That used to be our thing, Wednesday pasta nights, Sunday morning pancakes. Now it was just silence, microwaved leftovers, and two people passing in the hallway like ghosts who used to love each other. One night, I asked her point blank, do you think I was wrong? She didn't look up from her phone. I think you surprised them. That's not what I asked. She sighed, finally setting it down. I think you made a decision that affects both of us without talking to me. I stood there stunned. So I'm supposed to just keep handing over our money because you're afraid of confrontation? It's not about that, she said. It's about how you handled it. No apology. No appreciation. Just blame, wrapped in soft, careful words. And I realized then, it was never going to change. Not unless I changed it. So I did. I started therapy. I didn't tell her at first. I just went. Told the therapist everything. About the way her parents looked through me, the years of financial support, the way Megan always played translator but never advocate. And the therapist said something that stuck. You can't heal in a place where you're constantly being cut. So I stopped waiting for Megan to cut the cord. I did it myself. I canceled the card they still had access to. I removed myself from their property lease. I changed the Netflix password, small but symbolic. And when Helen called, this time to say the AC went out and they just needed a short-term loan, I said no. Not a maybe. Not a let me check. Just, no, Helen. Not anymore. There was a pause on the line, then that familiar scoff. You're really going to let us struggle over a couple grand? What happened to being part of the family? I took a breath. What happened to treating me like I was? Click. That was the last time we spoke directly. The fallout came quickly. Megan got cold, colder than I'd ever seen her. She stopped kissing me goodnight, stopped asking how my day was, stopped showing up at all. One morning, I made coffee like always. I poured her a cup. She didn't touch it. I asked if she was okay. She said, "You've made things so uncomfortable between me and my family. I don't even recognize you anymore." That's when it hit me. She never really saw me in the first place. Just the version of me who played along. The helper. The provider. The yes man. Now that I was standing up for myself, I was suddenly a stranger. I didn't yell. I didn't beg. I just nodded. I guess we finally agree on something. She moved out 3 weeks later. Said she needed space to think. Took her clothes, her laptop, even the decorative pillows she insisted we needed for the guest room. Left the wedding photo on the kitchen counter. I didn't touch it. For a while, I waited. Thought maybe she'd realize what this had cost. Maybe she'd come back, apologize, say she understood now. But all I got was silence. No calls. No texts. Just the occasional ping from a mutual friend saying she was doing okay. I started doing okay too. I repainted the bedroom. Changed the locks. Got a dog. Charlie. A beagle with anxiety worse than mine. We helped each other. I picked up woodworking again. Built a shelf with my own 2 hands. Not because anyone asked me to, but because I wanted to. I went to work. I came home. I healed. Slowly, like bone growing over a break. And then, one Sunday morning, I got a letter. Not an email. A real letter. From Gerald. It was short. "David, we never gave you credit for any of it. We thought you were just passing through, not realizing you were the one keeping the ship afloat. We're not good at apologies, but we're trying. We hope you're well. Gerald." No money asked. No veiled insults. Just an olive branch, shaky and splintered. I didn't reply, because by then, I'd already learned the lesson. You can't make people see your value if they're committed to your absence. And you don't need to light yourself on fire to keep people warm who would never strike a match for you. Megan filed for divorce 2 months after she left. I signed the papers, mailed them back, and took Charlie for a walk. We went to the lake, sat on a bench, and for the first time in years, I felt calm. Not happy, not triumphant, just free. You want to know the funny part? About a year later, I ran into Megan's cousin at the grocery store. She told me Helen and Gerald had downsized. Said the support system dried up. Said they were renting now, on a budget. "They say they miss you," she added, gently. "They say you were the only one who ever showed up." I nodded, thanked her, and walked away. Because I did show up. Until I didn't. And that's the power of walking away from people who only remember your worth when your wallet's closed.